I'm Akshay, the host of today's event, which is all about research in US. NGSF or Next Gen Scientist Foundation is a self-funded organization which is aimed at promoting research in various fields and allied sciences. And today we are very happy to have Pratheek Pandesha, a PhD student who is studying at Washington University School of Medicine, Afreen, who is doing MS in microbiology and immunology in University of Buffalo, Anjaly, who's a PhD student in Indiana University, Bloomington. So now I would request all the three speakers to share about themselves and then the reason for choosing this career. Over to the speakers now.
Should we start with Afreen?
Yeah, okay. Hi guys, I'm Afreen. I did my undergrad in Anna University and right now I'm pursuing my master's in microbiology and immunology at University at Buffalo. So my main interest in this course, it actually came after I picked the subject of immunology and um, I think I had the subject very late in the course. It was during my seventh semester, which is probably around the time I started applying for universities. And the reason I chose this course was because I knew that I wanted to specialize in one of the fields of biotech. I did not want to take up the same like a general biotechnology course again, and I knew that microbiology and immunology were like two of the core subjects of biotech that I was very interested in. So, yes, that's how I decided on the course that I wanted to, and then applying for universities was like a great task because there are not many universities across the world that give you a very specialized course. Like if you're going to look for general biotechnology or like biomedical, you might have like many universities, but when you start you know looking for a very specialized course, then you'll need to look harder because it's not a very common thing, or even abroad. And yeah, so it was a year long process. I was supposed to join after, I mean, for fall 2020, but then COVID hit, and then I took a deferral because that's what most of us did. I could, like, because we couldn't travel and all of that. So yeah, I took a deferral for 1 year, and then in that 1 year, I kind of did another internship, which was like sort of relevant to immunology, so that I thought I could like have some learn more skills and stuff like that. And yeah, I joined this fall semester and I've started and it's going good. So yeah, I think that's enough of the introduction. I'll let the others speak.
Um, shall I go ahead, Anjali?
Yeah, sure, we can.
Okay. Okay. So my name is Pratheek, and I'm currently first year graduate student at Washington University in St. Louis, and also at Donald Danforth Plant Science Center. Um, Reason to pursue PhD was like purely based on my interest in the subject that I gained over the years. Probably because the plant science, I got into plant science because I did my bachelor's in like agriculture biotechnology and my master's at IR New Delhi. So my background was in plants, and in 2020 it was like a hard year for everyone. Then I took a break because it was hard for traveling and all. So I worked for Bayer for about 9 to 10 months. Then I got a position here as a PhD student, and I came here. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to answer your questions. Yeah, I'm done.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So hi everyone. My name is Anjali. So I'm a first year cell molecular and cancer biology PhD student at Indiana University Bloomington. So I did my integrated BSMS from ISET Trivandrum. So, yeah, I always wanted to pursue a career in science or research. So that's why I chose ISER for my BSMS, and then it was like a smooth or automatic process, like applying to PhD. Almost everyone doing their BSMS from ISER will end up doing a PhD. So uh, I had this opportunity to do various internships in different labs across the country and in the US as part of the Corona program, like along with Pratheek. So then I wanted to do something related to cancer, and I was interested in cell biology. So this is what I'm looking for. So currently, so as you might know, in US we will be enrolled in a program, and after doing some rotations in different labs, we'll get to choose a particular lab. So I'm planning to do it in cell biology and cancer biology. I'm planning to choose a lab on the like it's an intersection of these two disciplines. So that's it, I guess.
Thank you so much for sharing about your experiences. And now let us start with the question answer session. So we will ask our questions, and then the questions are open to the three of you. So any of you can answer to the questions that we ask. So I'll start off with the first question, which is like that. We'll start from the dead basics, which is the first step that you're supposed to take when you start preparing take up a course abroad. Will be preparing for exams, which is the entrances. So brief us about the basic exams that one must take up to enroll in a university of US. So this question is open to all the three of you. So one of you can tell us about this.
Can I answer that?
Yes, sure, Afreen. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, about the exams for US, it's actually a misconception that GRE is mandatory for at least like the STEM field or like our biotech field. So I would like to say that GRE is not mandatory for about 90% of the universities unless you're looking to get into like the Ivy League colleges. Only for them, they just, and even then, it's just like another criteria. The GRE score is not going to do much for your admission. It's just like another criteria, but they focus a lot on your like TOEFL or IELTS, like your English testing exams. Like, so I would say give more preference to them because that's kind of like mandatory. They need your IELTS score as a part of your application. And so like, yeah, the first step, as you said, is the exams, but I would say don't spend like, because I personally did spend a lot of time on GRE and then later on realized that it wasn't actually mandatory, so I didn't have to like have spent so much time on it. So I would say you start, the first thing you need to do is try to explore your interests and try to at least like shortlist on the course that you want to, and depending on that try to like start doing your research on which universities are offering them and try to look into their admission criteria. So then you will get to know, because GRE and like the English test, which is like IELTS or TOEFL, are like the two main exams. Apart from that, I don't think there's anything that's going to be mandatory. And even for, like I said, 90% of the universities don't care about GRE. So if that's the case, then you don't have to like waste your time on it. So yeah, basically just shortlist, like try to shortlist your course. Even if you're not sure, start having options and start looking at universities that offer those courses and what are the criteria. So I think that would be the first step that you should take.
Thank you so much for the answer. So now the audience are most welcome to raise their hands and then ask the question. So in case if you really wanted to ask a question based on what Afreen just spoke about, please raise your hand. I will make you the speaker so that you can ask your question. Go to the audience right now. So, in case if you all don't have a question, so I have a small question. There is thing which is called GRE subjective tests. So, what is it about? Like, can you tell me about the GRE subjective tests?
Um, Catherine, go ahead.
No, that's okay. You go ahead.
I just wanted to make few points, and I think I'll
Yeah,
answer
sure.
Akshay's question as well.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
First thing first, like all the graduate school in US, like they somehow discovered that there is no correlation between your GRE score and success in graduate school. They decided to completely eliminate GRE. So most of the schools, as mentioned by Afrin, like they don't need GRE. Sometimes they mention it's optional and it's not compulsory. Okay, if you have a score, like if you have a very good score, that's obviously an like a added advantage, but it's not like recommended or something compulsory to have. I think only few programs need kind of subject test when I was applying, but by this time I don't think so. Like anyone needs a specific subject test because basic GRE itself they don't need. This is about GRE, so I think you don't have to really worry about unless your program asks specifically for GRE subject test, and if they are asking, it will be mentioned in website. Uh, so for most of the universities, that's not the case. And second thing about the English exam, I never gave like TOEFL or IELTS because if your language of instruction in your bachelor's or master's, I mean from your bachelor's was in English, you can get waiver sometimes. It will be mentioned in the application like instructions that sometimes you are eligible for English waiver. So if that works, it's better to go with that because I mean you don't have to give the exam. So yeah, so you have to check whether officially your university's language of instruction is only English. If it is some other language along with the English, that cannot be considered. If it's only English, they will consider you for a waiver, or they may take an interview also. So yeah, so you don't have to really worry about the exams.
Okay,
Uh,
so now, sorry, Afrin, yeah.
Sorry, I just like to add to that. Yeah, like you said, some universities give you a waiver, but like if you want to have, like if you shortlisted your universities and you're like very sure that these are the universities like you're going to apply to and they don't need an IELTS score, then it's okay. But then if you're still like unsure and you feel like you might, change your decision on which major you want to or something, just to keep your options open, it's better to take an English exam. And it's not very difficult, like since we've all like grown up with a background of English, you don't need like much preparation or something like that for it. So I would say it's safer to keep that in, like it helps you keep your options open, so that because in the last minute you don't want to rush just because they've mentioned it. Like if you just decide to change the university or the course, or you decided that you found a better university, it's I mean you can always schedule an exam and take it, but then if you've already done it, it will like just keeping your options open.
Yes, thank you.
I'll add something.
Yeah, yeah, sure, Anjali, you can.
Okay, so the scores in the English proficiency test doesn't matter much. You just have to pass the cutoff, is what I felt from the universities. So, and in most of the US universities, it's like 90 or 95. And in a very few universities, it's 100 or above 100. So you just need to pass the cutoff, and the rest, like, doesn't matter. They just, this score is just used to filter out the applicants from the rest of them. So I don't think it matters much in the selection process. And one thing, so once you make a list of the universities that you're planning to apply and you look at the scores or look at the requirements, you just, it is better to get TOEFL done by October so that there is enough time for like sending the scorecard, or if you want to retake the exam if you don't pass the criteria or the minimum score. So the first TOEFL test, it's better to take it in October, early October.
Yes, thank you. So, Archisha, I guess you will have a pop-up on the top where you have to accept it. Yeah, you can ask your question now.
Uh, yeah, thanks. Hi, I'm Archisha. I just had a confusion. I wanted to clear it out. So, when you're saying that the GRE is not mandatory, like we've heard that the GRE has been waived in many colleges, many universities for this year during COVID. So, like when you're saying it's not mandatory, is it for this situation only or in general?
So,
Um,
uh, can I
Go ahead, Anjali.
answer that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, GRE has been waived off in most of the biomedical programs, even in 2019 or 2020. So, this year, due to COVID, many other universities and programs have joined, but for most of the biomedical programs, even before COVID, GRA was waived off. So,
I think it was in 2019 itself when we were here for Corona program.
mm,
So I have a list of programs which made up
yeah,
GRE. If anyone wants, I can forward that link. And also, I wanted to
yes.
point out one thing about the exam because some institutes in US prefer one kind of English exam. It's not like they will take both IELTS or TOEFL. If you see Stanford, they explicitly say that they need TOEFL and they don't accept IELTS course. If you see MIT, they accept IELTS course. So it depends on you, like which universities you are applying, and to like make a preference on that. Yeah.
Because, like in general, people say that IELTS exam is only for universities in Canada. I mean, that's the general conception. So most of the people who aim for universities in US, they always focus on GRE and TOEFL, like TOEFL as an additional exam. So that means we are supposed to focus even on IELTS and then have that written, right?
I
Um,
think it's
yeah,
like general opinion that like IELTS is for like Canada and like Europe, but see MIT asks for IELTS. I don't know, like institutes may prefer their own. I mean, exam. So it's better to look into your universities you're applying to and see if anyone needs TOEFL or IELTS explicitly. So based on that, you can make your decisions. Yeah.
But then the requirements will be constant, right? The prerequisites. They'll not change it from year to year and all.
Oh,
not
I don't think
really.
so.
It
I
kind
don't
of
think so.
depends
Yeah,
because they
you have to
waived
check
off
their website.
because they've waived off GRE and adding to or whatever they've said. See, GRE has never been mandatory for our course. Like I don't, I'm not sure from which year, but like I've heard that it hasn't been mandatory for like the STEM field courses. I mean, I'm not sure if entire of STEM field courses, but I know for like biotech and the related fields, the graduate schools don't care about your GRE. So I don't think it's like GRE is not. It doesn't have to be your primary focus if you want to look into like the schools at US and about like IELTS and TOEFL. Yeah, so if you've decided that US is going to be the only country that you're applying to, then you can just go ahead and like take TOEFL because that will just get you into any university in US. But if you want to keep your options open, you're saying you just want to try applying to like a few universities in Canada or like a university in UK and stuff like that, you can take IELTS because a lot of universities do accept. I mean, in US also accept IELTS. But then if you like you have like a specific college and you know they're not going to take TOEFL, I'm sorry, if you know they're not going to accept IELTS score, then you might as well want to just take TOEFL. So if you finalize that US is going to be the only country that you're going to apply to and you're not going to apply anywhere else, then stick to TOEFL. Or if you want to keep your options open, then you can take IELTS.
Thank you so much, Afreen. So, Achisha, do you have any other questions?
None. All this answers my question. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Others in the audience, you all have any questions to ask? In case if you have any questions to ask, you can raise your hand. Um, yeah, Nabarun has a question. So, Madhumita, can you send him the request?
Yeah, just a second.
I guess the request has been sent to Nabarun, so he can accept the request and join. Yeah.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yeah, you are audible.
My name is Novarun. Someone here mentioned that we should take the TOEFL test by October. So, based on what did you say that when do we apply to the universities and how much time does it take for us to get the TOEFL score?
So, the most of the US university program deadlines fall on December 1st. So that was the case for all the 6 universities I had applied. So to complete everything before December 1st, I think it's better you get the TOEFL test by October so that the results it will take a week, and it is written in their webpage that it might take a week to a month for the transcripts to be reached in the particular university. So that gives us like a window of a month to send the transcripts to our universities. And if by any chance you get your TOEFL, the first TOEFL test, not satisfactory results, so then you will have another chance to write it and get the results on time.
Okay, that clears my question. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nabarun. Any other questions based on this? Can we proceed to the next question? Okay, I
Okay,
assume
so
that.
there is something I need to add.
Yeah, yeah,
So
sure.
now I think most of the universities accept electronic transcripts, so I don't think the time will be an issue. So when I was applying in 2019, some of the universities require like the hard copy of the transcripts sent directly by ETS, so which might take a month or a few weeks. So that is why I was mentioning like the keeping the 1 month gap in between the deadline and TOEFL.
Oh, yes, thank you so much. So now let us just move on with the next question, which is on what basis should one choose the university for higher studies? Like, what do you think are the prerequisites for a person to choose a specific university, apart from the choice of their course, the other factors?
I can answer that. So I think, to be honest, your course selection is what is the most important. And see, I know there's a lot of talk about how people look into the ranking of the university and they get like depressed if you don't get into like the top ranked colleges. But to be honest, you don't have to get into a college that is like in the top 10 or like the top 20. It can be like in the top 50 or in the top 100. But it all that matters is that the course that you've selected, you are interested in it. And it's okay if you don't have like you haven't done like research or like interns on it and you're just starting from scratch. It's okay, but you basically need to be willing to put in a lot of hard work to learn. So like I went through like the IDP education like counseling services. And I've heard that people who would have had like a very like average CGPA have got into a very average university for their masters, still ended up getting into like the top colleges when they wanted to do a PhD, or like if like jobs and stuff. So it all just depends on the hard work that you put in. So if you want to ask about selecting universities, I think the basic thing would be just go to like there are so many websites like where they give you like an approximate ranking of the universities. So again, it the other factors that you asked, I think financially, how like financial status of your family is very important, because You don't want to go into a top college not knowing you're not going to be affording it, and like you're going to take an education loan and that burden is going to be on you. So some of the advice that my counselor had given me, she's like, aim for a college, but then like make sure that there's not too much of an like a loan or a burden on you, because that will kind of make you lose focus on your primary aim. So don't just look at the top 10 colleges just for the like I said, like look for the like the state funded, or like the, how do I put it, the not the private colleges, like the government funded colleges, because there the tuition fee is going to be comparatively lesser and you're going to be learning the same thing. So when you like you can apply to different colleges irrespective of whether it's like a private or like a state funded university, but then when you're making your final decision, you have to consider the finances of the family, because you don't like, because you will think it's okay, I'll manage, but then once you come here and you realize how much you're going to be spending, you'll be like, okay, I need to look for part-time jobs, and even if it's not, you're not going to get something that's relevant to your field of study initially itself. So then you'll start losing focus on like studies, and it'll become very hectic. So that's not what you want in, like, when you come here with a passion for the subject. So I would say look at universities. Yeah, you definitely need to go through the rankings of universities. Don't pick like some random college that nobody's ever heard of. Look, you can go up till like the top 200 is what, like, keep your options open. You can look at, you can give that as a good preference, because they're like, I don't know, there are like hundreds and thousands of universities in US. So you have a lot of options, but the other factors that you need to consider, I think finances would be another major factor, because you don't want to just keep thinking about like how to repay the loan. You actually want to do something in the field. So yeah, I think that's what I would suggest.
I think I can add a bit for the PhD aspect if
Yes,
the
sure, sure.
audience is interested for PhD. Yeah, I keep getting questions like even like if you're applying for PhD, is it like fully funded or do we need to pay the fees? I think most of the PhD positions are like fully funded by the department. Sometimes they may require you to do a teaching assistant, or like as a research assistant in the lab. That means like it will be part of your PhD work. So you don't have to really worry about finances at any chance if you're applying for PhD and get a position. The first thing to consider while you're applying for PhD is like rankings. I don't think so. Ranking matters a lot. Um, I because PhD is like purely based on your interest, so you don't have to look into like university ranking. And obviously, if the PI is good, they are publishing well. Obviously, they will be in a decent university, so you don't have to think about the university ranking as such. The key thing is to like look for maybe papers in your area, like recently publishing papers, to keep track of them on Twitter or somewhere, or your research interest, go on exploring them and who is working on that, because in US universities, like usually you have to do rotation and then you have to choose the supervisor. So make sure like you have at least 3 people who are working on your area of interest, because you may not land in one person's lab because someone else may be trying. So you might land up in second position or third, like choosing a different lab. So you make sure that you have at least 2 to 3 people working on, aligning with your interest. And I think that is the key. Like your interest is the key, and how to choose a lab is like go to their Google Scholar or like ResearchGate profile and look into how they are publishing, and also see what their alumni are doing. Like most of the lab pages mention where their alumni are, or you can like just copy their name and put in LinkedIn. Like most of the time you will get it where they are. Some labs are like more inclined toward industry, because lab alumni will be more in industry, some will be in academia. So you have to see like which suits you the best. And yeah, this is the way, like where their alumni are is a good measure, I think. respond. So if you want to know more, yeah.
Anjali, do you have anything to say about this?
So, the first thing you have to do is like look for the different research groups, as Prateek mentioned. Look for different groups and make a list of the universities that they are affiliated to, and take a look at the specific graduate programs that these faculties are affiliated to, because a single university might have different programs. So for even for biology there will be like 2 or 3 graduate programs, and different faculties will be affiliated to a different program. So you want to apply to a particular faculty, you have to see which program this faculty is associated with. So that is something, and look for the application fees for these programs and make a spreadsheet with the labs, with the programs and the application fees deadline and the TOEFL requirement and any other requirements. So then make a like analyze your list and then choose like a 5 to 6 or yeah 5 to 6 you are applying in the US. So there is an application fees of like in biology programs it will be like 90 to $140 for one application. So take a note of that as well. That's it.
Yes, thank you, Anjali. Yeah, Pratik, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I just want to make sure like I put this point because some faculties there are some independent research institute like Danforth Center or like Boyce Thompson Institute or any other like independently funded institute. Uh, Faculty there will be affiliated with some other university. So don't miss those institutes because most of them will be having like good peers, I mean well funded labs. So you can just go and look into your faculty profiles and like which program they are affiliated with and ask them like you would like to join their lab. They may suggest you to apply for some program. So this is important. Don't not only look into like universities as such, look into other research institutes as well. So yeah, because those institutes will not have their own graduate program. It will be like there will be like you will be affiliated with other university graduate program, but you will be working in that institute.
Thank you, Pratik.
So
Yeah.
it would be always nice if you could like email the professors and see if they'll be taking students next year or if, through the program, so that you can like know if you apply and get into the program if this faculty you are interested is taking students that year. And once you have a contact with the faculty, if this faculty has a say in the selection committee or something, that will benefit you in the selection process. It's always good to email professors before applying to those universities.
Yes, thank you,
Yes,
Anjali.
I do recommend that highly. There is no harm in emailing the professors, and if your professor is impressed, I mean the person who was emailing you, I mean you are emailing to, is impressed by your profile, and if they are on the admission committee, there are like very high chances that you will get in. Just make sure like you email. So there is no harm in like emailing. So yeah.
So apart from the usual procedure that we follow to apply to universities, this is also an alternative thing that we can do. I mean, along with the usual procedure, it's good to do this also.
Yeah, it's this is before applying. Like if your deadlines are in like November 30th or December 1st, you can approach them like in October or like maybe in October.
So it's to bring this application to their notice, saying that there is a person who's applying with so and so resume. So is it something like that?
Not like that. You may ask them like, I'm interested in joining your lab. I mean, if you are interested. So I'm interested in joining your lab. Do you have a position for like coming fall? Are you accepting PhD students, right? Also, like you can ask like you want to know more about the research. Can we talk a bit more on that? Like, do you have a time? Sometimes some professors really agree to chat with you on Zoom. Um, yeah, so most of the time they will reply as like, yes, I'm accepting graduate students through this program. You can apply to this program, or like I am affiliated with some other program. So that will help you. I mean, while they filter out the applications, so they don't miss you. So it's kind of an added advantage if you email them.
Yeah, well, this is for the graduate students.
Yeah, I'm talking about graduate students.
So, like for the graduate students to apply, they should always have a very high profile. So, it means they should have done some prior interns or something based on the same field. So, their profile will stand out, right?
I don't say same field is required because US education is very flexible. I have classmates in biology and biomedical science who has done their B.Tech in engineering in India and came here and like in engineering in computer science. Now they are working on computational biology or like cancer biology. It's like very flexible. It depends on the admission committee, but only thing they see is like you should have some proved. You should prove your ability to do research because unlike Europe, US don't expect you to be like an expert or something before you come here because Europe usually needs an MS masters before you come because I gave a lot of interviews for Europe and they were like tougher than US. They were expecting a lot. I mean about the research experience and interview will be like 2 to 3 stages. That was, I mean, kind of, they will take you when you are ready. But in US, it is like they will take you and make you ready. So, but always like having an internship or something will be an added advantage. But that does not have to be like in a same area or same field because you're nowhere expertise, right? Even after joining the school, you will rotate with very different labs,
So
and
in my
you will join some other. Anjali.
in my opinion, so it's always good to have internship experiences, but it need not be in the same field as what you are applying now. So the, so we will be competing with people who has a lot of research experiences. So it is advisable to have to make a lot of research experience before applying for a PhD in the US. So that will increase the probability that you get into this program. But it can be in any subject and anything. Like you just have something to tell them, like you know what is research and you know how it is done. And you are passionate about doing research for the next 5 years.
I just want to make sure that you're really passionate about research. So having an experience really counts. So this is one of the criteria for like, I mean, evaluating the application along with reference letters, recommendation letters, maybe your, sorry, not maybe, your SOP and your SOP, your recommendation letters and research experience. These are kind of key topics along with your GPA. So GPA, yeah, to some extent, yeah.
Okay, so now, Afreen, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. When you, like they mentioned, it's always good to get in touch with professors and, about their lab, but then don't get in touch with them saying I'm applying to the university or like, don't expect them to be on the, the committee that's for the admissions or stuff. Just if you like the work that's going on in their lab, tell them you'd like to talk about it. And if you ever get into the university, you like to work with them. Like that's how you should approach them. And it's always better. Like you don't have to, like if you've heard about some professor, you don't have to wait till October. You can always email them any time of the year, and it's ideal that you do it before you start your applications because that will help you like decide on whether you want to apply to that university or not. And yeah, that's like a very important thing that I think I missed out because also like apart from the course, you need to make sure that you have labs that are working on stuff that you're interested in. So you really need to go, like in US, everything is like available online. Like you can just find out everything about the university by just going onto their website and looking into their labs. And if you need more information, they're giving you like the professor's email IDs. So always get in touch with them, try to build a network, and building a network is very important, and you should like start off from like now. Just try to build a network and just be in touch with them, because you don't know when which connection is going to help you. So that is very important. Like, you can email professors beforehand, express your interest in their labs, ask them if they will have openings, or if you can just generally about working in their lab and their projects and stuff. That is very important. And about the interns, I agree with whatever they said. It doesn't have to be like very specific, because people will keep changing their choices in career. So, and US is like they mentioned, they're very very flexible. So it's not necessary that you have to do an intern in your relevant field of interest, and if you don't do it, they're going to question you. No, they will expect you to have some basic experience in like research laboratory. But I know personally that there are some professors who will take you into the lab even if you like openly tell them, I have like zero experience, like I have zero experience, but I'm willing to learn. You have to express your interest in willing to learn, and you have to work really hard, because just because you said I don't know, they're not going to like just spend like hours of time on teaching you. They're going to teach you once, and you should make sure that you learn it as soon as possible. So there are people who are willing to teach you, but then you should just like be proactive and work harder to learn it. So the interns don't you don't have to stress too much on it being specific. Like, just get like basic lab experience, because any kind of internship, any skill that you learn will help you somewhere. So don't the specificity of the intern is not really important, as long as you're learning some skill out of it.
Thank you so much, Afreen. That was very informative. So, Pratik, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I need to just make a point that we have internship from NGSF. This December, like, we are opening the applications for next summer. If anyone is interested, that would be a great opportunity for you to have research experience, and that will really help you in the application. So keep in mind, like, just keep in track. We will announce like applications in December. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Pratik. So, over to the audience. Do you have any questions to ask them? If you have, you can raise your hand. We will let you speak. So I guess they don't have any questions. So thank you so much. It was very informative. Now let us go on with the next question. Which one will you advise the students to take up? Is it MS or a direct PhD? Like, for a person who does not have an idea on what to choose, they just wanted to do something like after undergraduation. So what would you suggest to them?
I can answer that. See, to be honest, to get into a direct PhD program after your master's from India is kind of difficult. Like, I think it's easier for people who've done their undergrad in US, but like if you've done your undergrad somewhere in another country, it's kind of difficult, because doing a PhD is a huge commitment, and it needs a lot of like, so if you want a direct PhD, all this stuff about not having basic skills, not having internships that are relevant, all of that will not be there. You need to have done something relevant. You need to show them that you're extremely passionate as well as capable of handling that PhD without like an intermediate master's degree. But if you personally, the reason that I chose masters is because I was sure that whatever I had gained from my undergrad is definitely not enough for PhD. Like, I was not confident from my own side that I've had enough like experience or like knowledge on the subject to go directly into a PhD. So I felt like masters would definitely help me learn more first about the subject, and then again it will help me give me an idea of like what independent research feels like, because you're not going to have like a set protocol that you're just going to follow in a PhD. You have to do everything from scratch. You'll have like a PI who might just look over it, but there's a lot of things that you need to do independently, and if you're confident from your side that you can do it, then you are encouraged to directly apply. But I've, like, from personal experiences of like people that I know, I've heard it's difficult, like, to get into a direct PhD from undergrad in a different country. And yeah, so my personal choice of masters is because I wanted to learn more, and uh, I wanted because I want to focus on more of like a lab oriented work. All of that needs a lot of experience, and like the entire culture of research in the States is completely different. Like it's very, very different from what I've seen in India. So I think it'll give me time to adapt to everything, learn better, and then when I decide to do a PhD, I can, like right now, I can still get into like jobs, work for a while, and then do my PhD. So, and jobs as in, I'm not like jobs in like labs, like as a research assistant or something like that. So that will again add to my skills. So yeah, that's just a personal experience that I'm sharing.
Anjali and Prateek, do you have anything to say about this?
Yes, so if you have good research experience from your bachelor's, then you can directly apply for a PhD, because doing a PhD in the US and is more economically better than going for a master's, because master's is quite expensive, and for a PhD you will get paid, but for masters you have to pay them. So it might be difficult for, like, it will not be very easy for everyone from India. So if you are someone who had done a bachelor's in India and don't have a good research experience, and if you can't afford masters in the US, then you can always build your CV and experience and skills by doing an additional masters from India, or going for some research assistantships in different labs, or doing internships in India before applying for a PhD. So that will give you experience, skills, and recommendations. So a good reference letter from an established scientist from India will help you get into a PhD program in the US. So that is my take on this.
Yeah, to add to that, like as Anjali mentioned, I have friends who are my batchmates and they did B.Tech in India, and like they came just after B.Tech without any masters. So it all depends if you have a good research experience. Maybe if you have done internships, like it would be, I mean, it would be okay to apply after bachelor's. Like you can always try, like try applying after bachelor's. You will see where you are. Then you can apply after masters if you need more experience or something. Some universities really give you feedback on your application why you are not selected in their rejection letter. Okay, so they clearly state what is the reason for your rejection. So that will be helpful for you many a times. So I think with bachelor's, like if you have a good research experience, you can always apply. And if you have if you are like keep in mind that like an international research experience always helps a lot. So try to focus on, like, if anyone is now in like third year or like second year of bachelor's, for them, try to apply for like international, I think MITAX in Canada and like Corona program for US. So there are a few like exchange programs. So that would help a lot, I think.
Thank you so much. So now over to the audience. Do you have any questions regarding this topic? In case if you have, please raise your hands. In case if you wanted to know more about the career opportunities in after you take up PhD or masters, you can ask about that as well. Okay, I think Kushi wants to join. Okay, Kushi, you can unmute and you can ask the question.
Hello everyone, am I audible?
Yes, Kushi, you are.
I am Khushi and I am doing an integrated master's in biomedical science from Vadodara. So I had a question that uh, not having much of a research experience, is it advisable that I do take a PhD directly or should I do a master's again?
I'd say you can apply for direct PhD programs if you have like if you have like at least a little bit of relevant thing, you can try applying. And like they mentioned, they usually give you a feedback. And even if they do, even if they don't, you can always like email them saying thanks for the decision. But I'd like to know where I can improve so that and all of that. You can ask them if they can give you comments on it. So I think you can try. There's no harm in trying.
Kushi, do you have any other questions?
Uh, no, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Anyone else? Do you have any questions? Okay, I assume that most of you all don't have questions. So the next question I have is very specific. There is this misconception. I would rather say it's a misconception that in case if you take up cell biology, molecular biology, immunology, or like an extremely core biology-based subject for masters, we will not end up getting a lucrative job. So the salary that we get out of the job that we land up in will be less, is what people keep talking about, because it's a complete wet lab based course. So what is your take on this? So what would you tell people who generally believe that you will not land up in lucrative jobs, like after you finish off masters in cell biology, mol bio, or like the core biology papers?
I think that's primarily what that's the thing in India, how we think that we won't get a good job if you're going to try to. I mean, in India, it's very difficult to find a specialized course itself to start with. But no, I don't think that's how it is in US. Like, see, it all depends on what you get out of your masters. Like, you can just come out saying I did cell biology and not know anything. Like, I know from like a lot of personal experiences about different choices that people take once they've come to the US. So it's really, like I said, building your network is very very important, and that's one of the main things that will like help you get into jobs if that's what you're looking at, or whether even if you're looking at a PhD and you just want to work for a couple of years to get more experience. So like they've all mentioned, email professors, get in touch with them, go on to LinkedIn is like a very good platform for like building connections. So even for like universities, if you're unsure, like if you want, I think there was some question about like the biostatistics course and something like that. So if you're looking at courses that are like very specialized and you don't know anybody who's actually taken it and you want to connect with people like that, I think you can just go on to LinkedIn, try to find out if there are people who've taken up that course, or if like if you know the university, there are like a lot of resources, and I think LinkedIn will really help you. So get in touch with them, ask them how it goes, and make sure that you explore your interest. See, don't just take the subject because you think it's nice and you think you can manage it. Like courses like bioinformatics, biostatistics, and all of that, you might like it in your undergrad, but then also remember that that's going to have a lot of computer computer coding related stuff, and if you're interested in it, then it's good. You can always change your career path, that's okay. But if you're not so interested and you also don't have like a computer background, then it'll become difficult for you to try to focus and learn. But I mean, it's all up to you and the decisions you make. So if you are interested, you're saying, okay, I'm willing to put in the hard work to learn this from scratch, then it's good. So as far as like job perspectives, it like choosing a core subject is not going to affect your perspectives at the job. It's just that you need to build a very good network of, because you do, like I said, you don't know how and where. Like if you're going to get in touch with a professor, maybe you don't go to that university at that point, maybe you don't get to work in his lab, but then maybe he can reach out to you later when he knows someone else is looking out for an opportunity. And if he remembers and he reaches out to you, that's always good, right? So don't think that choosing a core subject is going to affect your job opportunities. At least that's not how it's going to be in the US. It just depends on how well and how hard you work, and all the knowledge and the skills that you get out of your masters. That's what is going to get you the job. It will be in a relevant field. It may not be extremely relevant also, but then you still have your chances. It all just depends on the effort that you put. And it's okay. Like I'm saying, it's okay to choose core courses as long as you're interested in learning the course.
Prateek and Anjali, do you have anything to add on?
I think as far as like PhD is concerned, like you don't have to worry about scope or anything. I can speak on PhD perspective, but I don't have any idea on like how is job market or like things for masters. But I think as Afrin mentioned, interest is the key. Like if you are interested, you will really do well in the subject, and all the subject of course have scope, because just make sure the program interest matches well, so that you will perform well and you will be on the top. So until you are in the top, so you don't have to worry about the scope of the subject, right? So that's my opinion. I don't know in specific to masters like how it works. For PhD, yes, your interest is key. You don't have to worry about scope or something. This is my just personal opinion. Anjali?
Yeah, it's at the end, it's how well you perform in whatever the course you have taken. And I like Prateek, I don't know the aspects with regard to masters, so this is from a PhD student perspective. It's a I think it's about the papers you publish and the connections you make during your PhD that your job after PhD depends on. So doesn't really matter on which subject it is. Like every subject or every discipline has its own job market and doesn't really matter. So it's if you are good at what you're doing, you will definitely get what you want.
Yeah, you should really love it. It's in case of PhD, it's a long commitment for like 5 6 years. So you should really love what you're doing. Otherwise, you'll get bored of, or like you will be stuck in between. So make sure you like, even for masters. So if you like the subject, obviously you will perform well, and obviously there will be scope. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much. So now over to the audience. Do you have any questions regarding what I just spoke about? You guys can raise your hands. We'll give you the admit. Okay, so I guess, oh yeah, there is a person. Pramjot. Okay, just a minute.
Hello.
Um,
Am I audible? Hello, can you hear me?
yes, yes.
Okay, so I'm not sure how relevant this question is going to be, but since I'm an undergrad student, I would like to ask those who are studying or doing job in US about master's admission in US. Could you guys please comment on this?
I'm not sure what exactly you're asking for. Could you be a little more specific?
Uh, the specificity of my question is that I want to opt for a course in my master's degree, but I want to do it from the US, not from India.
Okay.
So I know it's a typical and very hectic process. So what are your suggestions on that? Because since I'm in second year of my undergrad, I would like to work on things that would help me in getting good admission.
Okay, like that. Okay. So I would suggest you start. What do I say? Start doing internships whenever you have like the breaks from the semesters, and it doesn't like I said, it doesn't have to necessarily be in what subject you want to do your masters. Just start to like gain more like hands-on experience, and then try to look at the courses, uh, probably whatever's offered to you or is going to be offered to you in undergrad, and try to see which one you think you're interested in. Try to get in touch with the faculty from your department and get their suggestions and all of that. And I think second year is like a really good time to start looking at what course you want to pursue, and just like generally get an idea of which universities are offering them and all of that. And you can don't take your IELTS exam too early, because I think the IELTS or TOEFL, the English testing exams, are like valid for 2 years or something. So yeah, you need to take that before you start applying. I think you'll ideally start applying in the end of your third year or something like that. So you can just do like basic research, and you can try to like base, for example, if you like a particular course in this particular university, right from now, like I said, you can go on to LinkedIn, search that university, you'll get like a lot of suggestions. So you can just send somebody there a message and like ask them, how is this course, how like these are my interests, what would you suggest for me, and stuff like that. So you can try to like connect with people on LinkedIn and all of that. But yeah, basic thing is try to analyze what you want to do in the next at least 2-3 years after your undergrad. I mean, after you finish your undergrad, if you like, what is your passion, like which subject do you want to focus on, or stuff like that. I think, does that make sense? Or
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
okay.
Thank you, Ramjot. Others, do you have any questions regarding this? So, I assume that you all don't have any questions regarding this. So, moving on to the last question of the session. So, like we spoke about research in wet labs, like all through the session. So now let us talk about the research in the dry labs. It's true that the three of you have not worked in the dry lab section, like for bioinformatics and biostatistics, but then like with the basic knowledge, what is your take on research in dry labs, like in biostatistics or bioinformatics or like the data analysis in the field of biology? So, what do you feel about that?
I think those fields have like a really good scope too, and it all depends on interest, because I have my friend who's doing like her MS in bioinformatics at Northeastern, and so she likes the course, but then I think she wasn't mentally prepared to face so much of like computer and coding and stuff. So that's not a problem, because she can always choose her subjects and electives based on her interests. So she can always like not choose only like coding or computer related subjects, and they have a lot of scope. Like I said, it's not like India where you're the courses that you choose and like everything feels like a very limited. there's a lot of scope for anything and everything. Like I said, like even if you want to do like biostatistics, or there are so many courses, like I don't even know the names of like half the courses, which are like very very specific. But if you are very interested in it and you know that you will learn, like in like every all of us have mentioned, interest is the key. And as long as you're interested, you will do well on the subject. And if you've done well on the subject, then it just means you will get into a job. See, you may not know, you right now, as soon as you get into your masters, you don't know what job you're going to get. It'll just eventually happen. So don't worry too much about the next step. Like if you've gotten into your masters, focus on that first. And then later on, as you travel through your masters, when you connect with the faculty in the department, all of them will be willing to help you. They will put you in touch with like companies or research labs which have positions that may be relevant to you, or like whatever you're doing. So like I said, always work with an open mind. Don't just say, oh, I'm like, this is the only job that I will get after I've chosen this course. No, you can do like a bioinformatics course and still get a job in something that's completely different, and you will still be able to get through it. Like as everyone mentioned, it just depends on the interest and your hard work. You can't just say I'm interested, but no, I'm not willing to put in the hard work. Nobody's gonna push you to put the hard work. You just have to keep pushing yourself to work really hard. And the faculty here are, as far as I've seen, they're very 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 welcoming and very understanding, and they're willing to teach you. Even if you don't know things, they're willing to teach you, but they're not going to give you like 100 opportunities. You'll be given like 1 or 2 opportunities, and it's up to you to grab it and use it to like the maximum. So you have to be proactive, and building connections, I've heard, is very very important. So start doing that. There's no right time to build connections, and there's no harm in trying to talk to people just to get to know and like get an idea of it. So there is a lot of scope for anything. It's like you've mentioned biostatistics and bioinformatics, and I'm pretty sure there are more biology and computer integrated courses whose names that I may not even know of. So but if you are interested in it, then go ahead. Don't worry too much of the job perspectives, at least in the US. Don't worry too much about it. Just stick to the course and getting the best out of the course.
Okay, I just have a question now. Like when you do when you do an undergraduate course in India, like the course structure or the curriculum is already fixed. Like much changes will not be made to the course. Like you'll have 1 or 2 electives or maximum 5 electives in your 4 years. But then, like when you do masters, for example, if I decide to do masters in bioinformatics, will my course structure be flexible, or will there be any compulsory papers, or can I choose all the papers when I choose the course?
No, you will definitely have a couple of core subjects that will be needed to, saying that you've taken a bioinformatic course, so you need to know some basics. There will be like, I think for me, it's mandatory to take like I think about 3 core subjects or core courses, and the rest are electives. So, but also this I learned from experience. So they say you have like a lot of flexibility with the electives, but then when you want to choose your electives, there are a lot of prerequisites that they ask you. So like again, it will not limit as much as in India. It's not like a very fixed thing, but again, it will limit the flexibility to some extent, but you still have like choices. Like I know that I wanted to take up one course for the next semester, but wasn't like offered to me because it said I needed prerequisites. But then I emailed the professor and I was like, these are the courses I'm done. I think I can, I can manage this course. And then he had a discussion and he's like, yeah, okay. And he, allowed me to register for it. So it is very flexible. Like if there's a course where there's a prerequisite that you haven't met, but you are interested, you can always try to convince the faculty that you can take up the course and you can handle it. I think they will still allow you to register for the courses. So it's not like in India where it's a very fixed schedule. You will have a few papers, like I said, 3 to 4 papers of like core subjects related to your major, whichever you're choosing. That will be there in any university. But apart from that, you really have like a lot of flexibility to explore.
Okay, so one more thing regarding the same topic. So, for example, I take up an elective here in Anna University, and then I complete the elective. And apart from that, I do certificate courses also for the same elective. So, I've had enough experience, like 2 to 3 certificate courses, and then a proper elective in the university. So, I would have written a proper NSEM exam, and I would have got a grade. So, in case if the same paper appears in my master's degree as a compulsory paper, so can I produce all these papers and say that I have had enough experience so that I don't have to go through the same thing again? Like, can I skip that paper with the
You can
experience?
ask for a waiver. I think that is also there because I know this friend of mine who is I think her major in masters is genetics, genomics, and something. And so for them, I think biochem was like, for me, biochem is like a mandatory subject, and I can't ask for a waiver even if I've done biochem in my undergrad. But for them, they could ask for a waiver. So I think she applied, like you said, all these certificate courses, your undergrad NSEM exam, the grades. You can produce all of that. You can apply. You can request for a waiver, but the final decision is always up to the university. But you're still given an option to apply for a waiver if you really don't want to take up that course. That's there. Yeah. I know because that one girl, because there were two people from that course, but only one of them was given a waiver. The other one also had like similar grades and similar, stuff related to that course, but she wasn't given. So I don't exactly know why she wasn't given a waiver, but the other girl was given a waiver. So you still have that option. You can still try it out.
Okay, so again, one more thing regarding bioinformatics is we all are biology students. Like we would have done biology in 12th grade, and we would have had only very little experience in computer science because computer science will be a compulsory paper in our undergraduate course. I mean, for like 1 or 2 semesters, you'll get it, and then you're obviously supposed to learn a little bit more of computer science in the form of certificate courses during your undergraduate course time. So, will there be any exceptions for a student who has done completely biology and who decides to take up bioinformatics? Will they have any exceptions for them? Like some
Exceptions
advantages?
as in what kind of exceptions do you think?
I am a
I was.
student who has very little computer science background. So, will there be an extra support or something which is,
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
faculty
special
are
treatment?
definitely. There's no special treatment that you should never expect from anyone here. But see, like I said, they're willing to help you learn, even if you want to learn from scratch. Like you're saying, you have like a biology background, but you want to get into computer science, and you've done like certificate courses, and you know like some basics. That's okay. The faculty are definitely willing to provide you with resources to help you learn from scratch and
Yeah, that is
build
what
a
I meant by
foundation.
special treatment. I mean, that
Yeah,
support
yeah.
is what I meant.
Yeah, definitely. There, you should realize that the faculty here are very, very approachable, and you just have to like email. Email is like a very, very good form of communication, and they really appreciate it when you like email and like follow up. Even if sometimes they might miss out and they may not reply to your email, but you can always follow up and say. Hey, I'm not sure if this you got to this email, but I was hoping if I can get some help or something. They're always willing to help. That is definitely there. You don't it's okay if you're from a biology background and you just want to learn from scratch. They're always willing to help you, and yeah, you don't have to worry about that. Not just like biology and computer. I'm saying anything, like someone from in some other field of engineering can come into biology, can come into biotech and want to learn from scratch, and they're still going to be willing to help you. So just express your interest, work hard, and the faculty will do their part of helping you. And they understand that not everybody needs to be like, not everyone's career choice is just going to be perfect, and it's not going to be a straight line. So they're willing to help you. Everyone, most of them are definitely willing to help you.
Yes, thank you, Afreen. Sorry, Anjali, I guess you wanted to say something. Can you share?
No, nothing. It
Yeah, do you
was
have anything to
just
talk about this? Anything?
just turned on the mic. I didn't have anything. Um, okay. So for PhD programs, we have to take courses. So if you had taken a similar course in graduate level, in masters from India, you can always transfer the credits and you need not take the course again for your PhD. So there is this option in my university. So, and again, it depends on the university and the faculty and the program that you're enrolled in.
Okay. Yeah. Prateek, do you have anything to say about this?
I don't have any specific comments. I think it also depends on university if they transfer your credits or not. I think as Anjali said, like if it is matching well, I think they will do it. But they did not do it for me here. I don't know. So it depends on the university, I guess.
Yeah. And what is your take on data analysis in biology, biostatistics and all?
I think it's a very good skill to have. I mean, the thing is like there are few experts in like who can do both wet lab biology and like data analysis, right? So I would say like if you're aiming at PhD, like taking those courses and like making you equipped with those skills will definitely help you better because I mean biology is more moving towards data, right? Like so you will need those skills, but specific master's program on those and their job prospects, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about like how will be the job prospects because I'm not into that, so I can't comment on that. But if you have that skill and you're doing a PhD, it is definitely helpful. I can say that. Yeah.
So, in case if you have any contacts who are into this, I hope you wouldn't mind sharing those contacts with
Yes,
us.
I know one person who she did her like bioinformatics or biostat something in for her masters, and she's working in Washington University now as a statistician. So I can introduce her. Any of you needs any help, you can email me. Like I can get you in touch with her.
Yes, thank you, Prateek. So now over to the audience for the final question answer session. So you can ask your questions and you can. Okay, Nabrun, just a minute. Madhumita, can you just help me out with this? Can you make him?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Then. Thank you. Yeah, Nabrun, you can unmute and you can ask your question.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Okay. So I have some questions very specific to PhD. I wanted to know how is life like as a research scholar in the US. So my questions, which I want the discussion to focus on, is how much is the stipend and how much do we actually spend and how much do we save and how many times we can actually come home during our stay in the US. What are the bureaucracies, the visa applications, and so on.
I think it's a very big question. uh, Anjali, can you go ahead?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I asked you like if you can comment on this. You can add things like later.
So, okay. So, okay, let's start with like one by one. So the first question was about, I guess,
For the
the
stipend, I asked.
about the stipend. Okay. So you will get enough money to live here and you you will get enough money to save as well if you are like not living an extravagant life. So that is one thing, and the stipend depends on the university and the state or the place you are living, and the cost of expense of that particular town. If it's a university town, you won't have much expenses and you will have enough money to live and save. So, and about the leave or vacation, it depends on the lab you are joining and the PI. If your PI is okay with you taking long vacations, then it's perfectly fine. You can take, like, people usually take 1 month vacation every year and go home, and short vacations like 1 or 2 days vacation and visit places here in the US in a year. So I think it depends on the lab. It depends on the PI that you are working with. So but there are people who are like not at all comfortable with their students taking vacation. So you have to talk to them before joining a lab. So that is an important thing you have to consider if you want to go home like every year or every 2 years. You have to talk it to your professor before joining. And did I answer your first two questions?
Yes, so the last thing I wanted to ask was about the visa application.
Okay. So visa application is a hectic process, I would say, because I got my admission for fall 2020, as like Afreen mentioned. So due to COVID, the consulates in India were closed, so I didn't bother to apply to join that in 2020s, and I deferred to 2021 fall. So I hoped the consulates would open, but they didn't, and they were just opening only for F1 students, and it was difficult to get an appointment. We had to wake up early in the morning and look for the slots popping up, and that was something. But I hope by next year this thing will not be like, it will be easier than the COVID situation. And for visa, so if you are on a fully funded PhD program, getting a visa is easy than master's program. They won't ask you much. They will just need to know, like, if you are a potential migrant, and if you answer like you are planning to come back to India, and then things are like smooth. And they'll ask you the program, and if you are funded, or why did you choose the program, and where all did you get admitted from. Some basic questions, and then it will be done. It will be like a 10 minutes or 5 minutes thing. And that's all about interview. Like, getting an appointment is the task, or the interview is pretty straightforward for PhD applicants.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
agree
think
with
with
that.
Afrin, go
It's
ahead.
more, yeah, it's more difficult for master students because you will need to show them like proof of funding, because you're going to be paying from, like, there's not much, like, they're not going to give you a stipend as long as you got a scholarship or you've got like an assistantship beforehand. So yeah, it's definitely a little more difficult for master students. They might question like how you're going to financially support, and how you're going to like look for part-time jobs and stuff like that. You can just give like generic answers, you don't have to specifically but yeah, do not lie on your visa interview, especially like in terms of having relatives in the US and stuff. See, all of that they might look, because they think you might be a potential immigrant. But don't lie. If you have like a blood relation there, if it's going to be like family, friends, or distant relations, you can not give too much importance into that. But if it's like your immediate family, do not lie, because they do a lot of background check, and you don't want to get into trouble and by lying on that, because that will just, like, getting into university and all of that is there, but then clearing the visa and getting your ticket and finally coming here is also like a huge process. And yeah, this year it was really difficult because of COVID and like the lockdown and shutting down, but I think it'll improve. So the visa process shouldn't be that bad as it was for us. So yeah, that's also there.
Yeah, I have a question. So, can you just tell what all questions do they generally ask during a visa interview? Like, apart from the one which you spoke about right now, which is doing the background check and all.
They'll ask you about why you chose that particular course, why that university, what are the other universities you applied to, how you're going to fund it? Is it going to be like from your savings, or are you taking a loan? How do you plan on repaying the loan? Are you planning to work in the US? Are you planning to come back to India? See, they don't have a problem because they know everyone wants to work in the US. So you don't have to say, no, I'm never going to work in the US. You can always say, if I get a good opportunity there, it'll always be helpful to, apply the skills that I've learned. But then always redirect your answer as if you really want to come back to India, because like I said, they don't. It really depends on the visa officer who's like interviewing you, because some of them, like for me, it hardly lasted for like 30 seconds, and some of them will ask you a lot of questions. So it's easier when it's PhD, because they know that they are going to be paying you, so there's not going to be too much of an expense from your side. But for masters, they know that you are paying it, so they'll be very they want to know for sure how you plan on repaying it. But you don't, like, it's not that you have to say, no, I'll never work in the US. Like I said, you can say, if I get a good job opportunity there, you can try there. But like, I still want to come back to India and help and all of that. So there are like a lot. Generally, these are the questions that are asked. There might be some specific relating to your course, because if the person who's interviewing you knows somebody in the university or has any contacts, they might be like, oh, did you check about this? Did you like this faculty? Like, they might ask you specifically about some faculty if they already know about the research that's going on there. And sometimes they might just make like, casual conversations like, so how was your day? How are you doing? So you don't have to like be scared when they ask you that. You can just like, casually be like, yeah, it's been good. Or you can, like, they can ask you like a wide variety of questions. It really depends on the officer. So you need to be prepared with answers for everything, so that you don't go there and stammer, because you'll already be in a lot of stress by the time you reach the counter. So yeah, that's a kind of like hectic process.
I think we can host a separate event for that, like in that season, right? Like when you get your decisions and then you're applying for visa, we can host a question answer kind of session where
True.
Yeah,
That'll
that
be
would
like
be
a whole
nice.
new session. That'll be like a whole session, which is,
it will be a whole new session. I just want to comment on Nabarun's questions a bit, because me too had like I too had some so many questions like this, because at this stage in life, like you are 25 or 26, you will always think about money, and like it's important to think about. And if you ask anyone, they will say it's sufficient, so they don't say how much it is. And it's like always like like you will be like thinking, okay, what if I can't save anything, like that's not the case. Like as Anjali said, most of the time it's like the stipend will be decided on like the place you are living in. It will be adjusted to that. So I think on an average, like I mean, for our lifestyle, like if you cook on your own and all, like you can save from like 40 to 50,000 or something minimum. So it depends on you. So this is just to give you an idea. And about the vacations, as Anjali mentioned, it's very important to know your PI well before you join their lab. That's why like rotations are helpful in US. You're not going to join them directly into their lab. So when you rotate, after you rotate, you will have discussions with them before you choose the lab, and you can ask them like what is your policies about this taking leave and all. So most of them like allow like 1 month or so, because like you will have 21 days holiday. In my university we have 21 days holiday per year you can take. So this is except like Saturdays and Sunday. If you combine them, it will be like 30 days. And if you combine with like Christmas and New Year holidays, so you can take like 30 to 35 days. So most people will go like once in a year. Hope it helps.
Yes, definitely. This cleared a lot of things. May I ask another question?
Sure.
What is the work culture like in the US? I mean, how many days a week do you work? What are the working hours? Such.
No work culture for PhDs. Just kidding. It's. I think it's better in terms. I feel it's better for me. It's better for work-life balance. Usually, I don't go to labs on like Saturdays and Sundays, because maybe I'm in first year. So maybe once you start working, like people will go on weekends. But usually, people avoid going on weekends, and they maintain strict work hours from 9 to 5. This may not be the case everywhere, right? So some people might be working, like some labs are there which works like even in the night. It's all your interest, like how much investment you want to put in your work and how much you want to put in your personal you want to spend personal time. It's always flexible, and this all depends on the lab culture more than US culture, I can tell, because some labs really maintain very strict work hours, like 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, and no Saturday Sunday labs. So some people will have labs like going on Saturdays, and it really depends on which lab you are joining. But lifestyle is good. I think you will enjoy it.
Yes,
I think
Anjali.
it's easier to maintain the work-life balance in the US than in India because you can always stick to your plan of not working on Saturdays and Sundays, like in most of the labs here. And again, it depends. If you have some work, you can always go and do it on Saturdays and Sundays as well. So, and if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. Like most of the PIs don't expect you to work on Saturdays and Sundays. So again, it depends on the labs, and that is how the rotations will be helpful. So you will be rotating into 3 to 5 labs in your first year or first semester, so that you can get to know the lab culture in different labs and choose accordingly.
Thank you, Anjali. Nabru, now your doubts cleared.
Yes, if I may be excused for one more question, I think.
Yeah, sure, sure.
So I think this is a question for many of us. So this is a question about racism. Many people are afraid that in the US, Indians are not treated well. The people living there, is that the case there?
Again, it depends on the place you are going and the culture of the particular place or the attitude of the people that you are interacting with. It depends from people to people or place to place. So here I am in Bloomington and it's a university town and it's like a very international student friendly community. So I don't see like racism here as we expect from the US. So it's good here. People are very friendly, and it's an international community. So there are people from across the world. Again, if you you will be definitely going to a university, and you'll be mostly interacting with the people in the university. So won't be a problem, I guess.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, it's very specific to the place and even the people because it's definitely not bad. It's not going to be something that you have to be afraid of and like reconsider your choices and all. Like I know that the faculty and my classmates, everyone is like really good and it's a very welcoming environment. But again, you can't expect that from every person. Like I've personally had some experiences that are not so good, but also I have like a lot of other experiences which have made me feel like okay, I did I made the right decision. So it's really subjective, and I don't think you should generalize it, or it's not something you should be scared of, because I know for a fact that every university takes steps to make sure that students feel safe, especially like international students. They should feel safe, and they have a lot of resources that you can reach out to, where if you ever find something that's uncomfortable or something where you're not feeling safe. So the universities and the faculties, everyone's willing to help you if you ever fail, because it's going to be like you're going to be completely left out on your own. Like you have to, right from like getting your groceries, cooking, doing your dishes, everything, you're going to be responsible for everything. So you'll be interacting with a lot of people, not just the people from your university or not just students. So it really depends, but you always have resources that you can reach out to, and the resources are very much accessible. It's not like it's going to take weeks or months for people to respond to it and all of that. So it's not bad. It's definitely not bad, but I can't say it's 100% not there. It definitely will be there, but then you can get through it. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I think that's an experience you might face, Navran. You just have to take it as an experience, as many life experience. So you don't have to reconsider your choices or something, because people of Indian origin or like any other origin than US have performed really well in US. One thing I'm sure I can assure you is that like if you perform better, you'll be like given credits for that. Um, there might be means in universities there's very little these kind of things. I never faced anything as of now. People say it will be like in outside it is more. And when I was applying, some of the postdocs in US, they gave me some suggestion that like try avoiding the southern southern states like Georgia, like South Carolina, Louisiana. So that was the advice I was given. So I don't know, like if you're interested in the particular university in that area, you can go ahead. Uh, but those areas are kind of more racist than other places in the US. Yeah, and the coasts are like more liberal kind of. Um, if I'm true. Yeah.
Thank you, Nabroon. So since it's
Thank
getting
you so
too,
much.
sorry.
Thank you so much for answering my questions.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Nabroon. So, since it's getting too late, we will wind up the session. So, all those people who still have questions to ask, you guys can put your mail ID in the Knowledge Hub chat, which is to your left side. When you look at your left side, you will have this place where you can send your email ID. So, along with the questions, yes,
Actually,
Madhumita.
we'll ask the guests to send the mail ID, and anybody who are having doubt, they can ask them directly through mail.
Yes, I think it works that way also. So now the guests will send their mail IDs. So, so now we'll come to the end of the session. Thank you so much for the. Thank you so much NGSF for giving me this opportunity to be the host for today's event. And apart from that, thank you. I would like to thank Prateek, Anjali, and Afreen for your quality time and valuable tips and the other informations as well. We wish that the audience have benefited from this session. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Akshay.
you. Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you,
you, Madhumita.
Akshay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody who is having doubt can ask them. They can contact them directly because they'll be in the server only, Discord server only. You can ask them directly.
I just wanted to make one point at the end for PhD positions and also like maybe masters. Twitter is a very like nice platform to get about because most of the academicians are like now on Twitter. So they're very active. So even NGSF tweets about the opportunities. Please be tracking that. Like you can go on Twitter and search for like PhD position as a keyword, and you will get a lot of PhD positions. So just be on Twitter. That will help you a lot, and for me also it helped a lot. So I just wanted to add this point.
Yes. Thank you so much. So, Madhumita, can we wind up?
Yeah.
One more thing. One second, Madhumita. So we have NGSF Twitter channel. So follow us on Twitter. So I think Rama shared the link. Um so follow us on Twitter and like we will update you with most of the recent openings, PhD postdocs and MS positions. Yeah.
Once again, thank you so much for addressing us and sharing a lot of information and clearing our doubts too. So, Madhumita, can we wind up now?
Yeah, we can leave the meet. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.